Holy Spirit, angels, ancestors, spirit guides, give me the messages that I need to know. So happy and so grateful and so thankful for all that I have and all that I am. I am a lot. Not in the frame of being too much, but I am everything. I am full of possibilities and full of potential. I am all there is, all there was, and all there ever will be. I am God. I am the expression of God. Man, what a wonderful place. It's taken a minute for me to grab hold of this concept and more, not even concept, but this truth. But I now have hold and I will not let it go. This content will be for some, it'll be a match to many, I'd imagine, because we are all in this together. There's a reason that I am being presented to you today in this fashion. There's a reason that I must show myself on the interwebs. Do I want to? Only if it helps you. Well, it helps us all. It helps us all as a collective for us to share our gifts. And so let this be encouragement for you today to shine your light. Pop your shit. Some will like it, some won't. People will always have something to say, whether you do what it is that needs to be done or you don't. But as long as you were fulfilled by what it is that you do, and you can do it out of a space of love from your own heart, your own oneness and expansion, then it'll be just fine. So we'll just follow what Spirit has to say, and we'll just go with it. I don't know what the cards, what the messages hold, and I can't imagine that everything always goes this way. But a lot of times, I'm getting a lot of messages even without the cards overall. But the cards are the cards are helpful, especially at the start, to give an overall feel for what is going on in the collective. What I can say though, that I already know without even the usage of cards, the energy that I feel is one of a collective consciousness. It can be referred to in many different ways by many different people. Some might call it the Christ consciousness, some just call it consciousness, other people might call it woke, but whatever it is that you choose to call it, there's a reason why we are tapped in and syncing up one with another. I am you and you are me. Everything is one, and we have so much expanding to do. The objective is to do that in all the meaningful ways possible without limiting ourselves. We are abundant people. We are prosperous people. We are the thoughts, the words, the feelings, and of all that is God. We are it. It is not for nothing that at the beginning of creation, as the story is told, God himself breathed life into the human form. And at that rate, it was considered good. Imagine that. Imagine existing in this physical plane thinking that you are a mere man and you are God. Imagine that. And I know that some people will think it's blasphemy, whatever. Either way, if it fits you, if the message resonates, then you stay here. If it doesn't, scooch on. Go on to a message that resonates with you. Anyway, so often, I don't want to say often, until we know better to do better, we live our lives as mere men, allowing life to happen to us, it would seem, never recognizing that life is happening for us and through us. We are creating our reality. We are either creating things that we can appreciate or things that we cannot appreciate. This is going on. I'm getting a feel for the message, so don't mind me, but loyalty. In this space, we're discovering always how to become more of ourselves, how to not even become, how to make a return. How to make a return to your God likeness. And 2 cards fell. I haven't flipped them over as of yet, but what I will say is our loyalty plays a huge factor in how we conduct our lives. Many of us have been too loyal. While it doesn't necessarily seem like that's a thing that is possible for those of us who pride ourselves in and on loyalty, that's something that many of us hold near and dear to our hearts. But how about being loyal to people who desire you to stay the same, who are not accepting of your change as you are fulfilling your own shoes in your own life's journey? What do you do? Just a thought for consideration, because when we start to change, we find ourselves in that space with more people from our past and in those relationships that at the time we are changing. You begin to see the world and everything in it through a different light, and you begin to change in the eyes of the people that are around you. You have to be sure that you are not being loyal to a fault, remaining that old version because that is the more palatable version of yourself. The 2 cards that just failed, actually, I picked up, I was gonna put them back, but since they actually flipped over and I can see them, we got the 2 of Pentacles, which is balance, and the 8 of Pentacles. I mean, the 8 of Cups, not the 8 of Pentacles. So this felt like this. The 8 of Cups was being concealed by the 2 of Pentacles. Many of you are balancing who you are desirous to become who your spirit is pushing you to become and trying to be what others want you to be. And the two things can never exist together. Some, don't get me wrong, some aspects of yourself will still be the same, but in large part, where fulfilling your shoes in your life's journey, many of those things will change. Many of those things have to change. And that's where this Eight of Cups comes in. Because all that you knew and loved and held so true and loyal to, you'll have to turn your back on and walk away from. You invested a lot of energy into whoever you were. But now, and not to say that who you were was a bad person, that was the version of yourself that you needed to be at that place in life. You're not there. You've expanded. You've outgrown that person. So now it's time to journey on. And the moon is in the back, so it would seem like, because the moon customarily represents shadow, but this isn't reflective in what we would really consider in the shadow, in the way of that the version of you needing to be worked on from the past place, but more so the shadow of who you want to be. Interestingly enough, this figure is walking through some rough terrain. Looks like maybe some sort of like mountainside cliff situation, but it will be a little bit rocky. It won't always be the easiest thing to do, but you've got your wand and you've got your cloak and you're ready to go. Nobody in the tarot is wearing a cloak except for those of higher authority, those of maturity, the kings, the Hierophant, the High Priestess, all of those cards representing transition into a more spiritual or elevated consciousness. Mastery, even. It takes maturity to walk away from everything that is familiar. And so the first card that fell out, the Lover's card in reverse, and the Knights of Wands in reverse. Interesting. The Lovers was first, and so it makes more sense too that this would pop out at the point I was unable to see that and this 8, because the Lover's card often represents harmony within self, alignment within self, your physical being in connection with your spiritual being. And so the more you try to harmonize with what people want you to be over who you are becoming or who your spirit is pulling you to be, the more misaligned you are within yourself. You're not able to receive the gift of unity within yourself. And that's what you want. You are called to be the greatest version of yourself. But the more you juggle other people's path and desire for you to be loyal to their idea of who you should be, the more dysregulated and out of sync you are with yourself. And the Knight of Wands representative of, usually in the upright, is fast movement into creativity and new ideas. But that's not the case in the reverse. It's a call to slow down, to create, and to become whatever it is that you desire to be. You have to be the knight to yourself. You have to save yourself for yourself. That's what this speaks to. But for more clarity, I am going to pull the book. So, misalignment with yourself, being mindful to come back into harmony, saving yourself. More to that. No need for juggling, but becoming all that you need to be for you. It's going to take walking away, leaving those things behind, leaving those people behind. I think I might want to clarify. I want to read this Knight of Wands in reverse. I think I'm in again. The Knight of Wands reversed can signify the asker has a buildup of creative energy and motivation, but feels confused about how to best channel it. This card also indicates that the asker has worked hard on themselves internally. Now is the time to apply the lessons they have learned to move ahead in their life. Look for answers within and see how this wisdom can help navigate the impasses that may be encountered. Yeah, so slow moving energy, slowing down, like I said, and cultivating your strength within yourself, creating the reality that you desire. So it makes perfect sense. Let's see, what else we got? Anything else? We got the Judgment card in reverse. Man. The Judgment card in reverse is you not being accountable and making yourself responsible for the actions of others. You are being called to a higher place. The Judgment card is the spiritual awakening card. Your spirit is calling for you. I actually told one of my coworkers earlier that, in the midst of our conversation, we were discussing her wanting to move to be happier. She wanted to, switch up the atmosphere. She's kind of sick of the job, wants to go and do something else. And so I asked her, what was holding her. And she was like, she didn't really know, but a move, a change is calling. And I said, it doesn't ever stop calling. You would be better suited doing all the things that you want to do. First, that is a part of the expansion. The God in you is desires to experience those things through you. You have to do them. Now, you have the ability to not do them. We're not saying that you're going to be forced to do them, but you will regret not doing them if you decide not to. You will be so much more fulfilled doing all of those things that you are desirous to do. Do them. Those desires don't come from nowhere. They come from the God that is you. And since you have those desires, since you have access to them, you have access to them. You have access to accomplishing them. It does not matter how big it is. It does not matter what it is. I encourage you, get delusional in your creation and let the universe bend to meet you right there. Blow your own mind. Anyway, that call, it does not stop calling, is the same thing that I told her. It only gets louder. The more you have in your desire bank to do and you don't do, the louder it becomes. It is unrelenting. And that is why a lot of people are miserable. They won't do what their spirit is calling them to do. Not that spirit is making life miserable, but all of your efforts are used working against the most natural thing that you have. Now, recognizing and being in resonance takes a bit of intentional work, but in the way of like meditation and like concentrating on yourself, tapping into yourself. It's really some of the easiest, hardest work to do. And I use hard with a bit of reservation just because it's really not hard. But at the same time, you are up against that old version of you, that old mindset, and everything that it can entails. And it is a lot that it entails. This work, though, it is so worthy and so fulfilling. I encourage you to bet on yourself. Become all that you want to be. Do all the things. Do it all. Whatever your spirit is guiding you to do, that inspired action, do that. I'm going to read this reverse judgment from the book. But while I find this, imagine that every single thing in existence was once a thought. All the things. All the things. out of my window, I can see a number of buildings, and they were all somebody's thought. It's such a simple thing, but mm, it's so good because when we are doing our daily lives, we don't really give it all that much consideration, but all the things were thoughts. And if any accomplishments have ever been made in life, they are possible for you. The other wild thing is that even if it has not ever been done, it is possible for you. That is how creation and expansion works. When you are working in unison with the part of you that is God, that inspired action taken gets you to those desires. Everything that you feel like you want it for a reason, because that is your inner God, spirit, however you want to put it, that wants that thing as well. What you want wants you. It's just that way. It is just that way. Amazing. It's amazing. But it does require some work. It's work, but not in the way of the productivity model, but in the way that you are inspired to take the actions necessary to get you to the place. Whenever you follow those unctions, the leading of your spirit, that is what gets you there. And that is what gets you there faster than somebody who is putting in loads and loads and loads of hours pushing. Not to say that they can't get there, they'll get there eventually. But if you sync up with your spirit guide, you get there faster. Anyway, judgment reversed. The reverse judgment card can mean that you doubt and judge yourself too harshly. This could be causing you to miss opportunities that were awaiting you. Another reading of the reverse judgment card can be a push to take time out of your busy routine to reflect upon your life to this point and what you have learned so far. So these two go together for sure. They all go together, but in the way of slowing down and taking a moment to create, you create more from a gracious place. And so when you stop and you have a look around and take an inventory for the things that you currently have going in your life, it causes you to be extremely grateful. And the more you see, the more you are grateful. In turn, the more you get to be grateful for. Don't let that pass you by. When you were a kid, some of y'all probably be able to relate to this, but some of you might not. When you were a kid and you got in trouble, your parent might say, don't do this to your kids at this point, okay? But your parent might say at that time, stop all that crying before I give you something to cry for, or before I give you something to cry about. Never mind the fact that that was crazy. But same thing, same concept applies. The more you are grateful for, the more you get from the universe to be grateful for. So be more grateful. Anyway, I just wanted to share a bit of my mind and heart. Hopefully, this has helped in some way to get you going, to get you into the best possible position in your efforts to become the best version of yourselves. Much love, much light. Holla.